Hello and welcome to another edition of Cooking Technique Tuesday. I am Coach Lauren, also a trained chef, and today we are making a spaghetti squash casserole. It's a WW recipe. It's got ricotta cheese and mozzarella and parmesan, basil, tomatoes, spinach, and spaghetti squash. So I got the spaghetti squash at the farmer's market. The recipe calls to microwave it. I actually really like to roast it. I find the flavors a little bit better, but you can do anything you want. Also the spinach, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go over to the stovetop here in just a moment, and we are going to saute everything, including the spinach. So this is 6 ounces of spinach. To make it a little quicker when I'm sauteing everything, I'm gonna nuke this in the microwave for like a minute, minute and a half, just to kind of start the wilting process, just so it saves me a little bit of time over there. Also, we're going to cut our tomatoes in half. They're just cherry tomatoes. I've got my usual, and I know a lot of you have seen this, my tomato trick. So I've got 2 Ziploc tops, little Tupperware tops. I've got my serrated knife because this cuts through tomatoes much easier. And it's almost like a Tupperware tomato sandwich. And if you cut through the center, you get sliced tomatoes. Very quick and very easy. So let's go ahead and go over to the stovetop, and I'll see you in just a moment. Alrighty, so I have my nonstick skillet on medium high. I'm going to add my oil. As you can see, it is already nice and hot. Once you get that little shimmer, you know you are good to go. Alrighty, I've got my onion. I'm probably gonna turn it down just a little bit, down to medium. There we go. All right, whoop. Alrighty, I'm gonna let this cook for about 5 minutes, depending. You really just want it translucent. So I'm going to cook this, and I'll see you back here in a minute. Alrighty, as you can see, my onions are cooking. They're nice and brown. I'm gonna go ahead and add in the garlic. Stir that around. Make sure it gets coated with some of that oil. And then, oh, that already smells amazing. You really can't go wrong with garlic and onions. So now I've got my tomatoes. There we go. So I'm gonna let this cook until these cook down just a little bit, so like 3-4 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna let this cook, and I'll see you back here in a moment. All right, so as you can see, the tomatoes are starting to cook down nicely. Alrighty, so now I'm gonna add the spinach. So I let this cook in the microwave for like a minute and a half, mostly just to make my life a little bit easier. So I'm gonna let this, though, kind of let the flavors combine with the garlic and let it continue to wilt, which it should only need like a minute or so. But that is kind of boring. There we go, get it all. That's kind of boring to watch, so I'll see you in a minute. Alrighty, so my spinach is fully wilted. Let the water kind of cook off a little bit as well. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add in the rest of my ingredients. So there is the basil. I'm also gonna go ahead and add in my cheese. This is just ricotta cheese. Super tasty. I'm actually gonna mix this around just a little bit so the cheese can get warmed up, which makes this easier to mix together. But it already smells absolutely fantastic. So, but yeah, the cheese, if you let it melt a little bit in here, it just makes it easier to mix everything together, because we're about to have to mix in a lot of spaghetti squash. So there we go. The recipe calls for you to do the spaghetti squash first, but I think this is a little bit easier. Alrighty, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add in part of the parmesan. There we go. We're gonna use part of it inside of it, and the rest we're going to put on top. I'm gonna go ahead and put in salt. Wee. I don't usually measure my salt, as I think everybody realizes at this point. Got some cracked black pepper. And then what I'm going to do, let's mix that together just a little bit. Fold it in, and then plop. So like I said, it's a lot of spaghetti squash to incorporate. I am not going to show you this on camera because this is boring. But basically what you want to do is just get everything mixed together, which might take a moment. Takes a little bit of elbow grease, but guess what? That's activity points. So I am going to finish mixing this, and then honestly, all I'm gonna do is put it in my 8x8 dish. Then I'm going to top it with the cheese right there, and then I'm gonna throw it in the oven. So you know what? I'm gonna see you when we are all done. Alrighty, and we are back. So I let this cool. It's been out of the oven for about 10-15 minutes. Got nice and brown on top. So let's take a bite. It smells delicious. I mean, you can't go wrong with cheese, right? This is super easy to make. A great side dish. I'm gonna definitely have another little bite here. All right, we can taste the garlic and the cheesiness and the tomatoes and everything. Oh my goodness. This is delicious. Recipe is attached to the post. Let me know if you end up making it, and I will see you next Cooking Technique Tuesday. Have a good one.